So the events unfolding around us are making clearer than ever that we're living in the final part of the last days, undoubtedly the final part of the final part of the last days, shortly before the last day of the last days.
Well, hello again. Thanks for joining me. And if you've been following my channel, you will note that we're about going into our 6th month of being fully awoken. And what I'm about to share with you is probably the most, to me, it was the most eye-opening of all of the research I've done so far. And when you look at the governing body and you look at this article we're talking about fortune telling. So let's get right into it. I'll show you what I found. Fortune telling, fortune tellers. Fortune telling is the practice of predicting information about a person's life. A prediction or a forecast is a statement about a future event or data. They're often, but not always, based upon experience or knowledge. And there's no universal agreement about the exact difference from estimation, difference, authors, and disciplines. So there's different predicting, but fortune telling is a practice of predicting information about a person's life. And it goes on to say the scope of fortune telling in principle identical with the practice of divination. So divination is the attempt to gain insight into a question or situation by way of an occult, a standardized process or ritual used in various forms throughout history. Diviners ascertained their interpretations of how a question should be processed by reading signs. So isn't that what the governing body is doing? The Jehovah's Witness governing body. That's what they're doing. They're the mediator. You see, Christ died for us all. So when Christ died for us, he said, you can go straight to God. You no longer have to go to the temple sect. And you remember in them days, they had a temple cult. It was a Jewish type temple cult, and you had to go in and pay these temple cults, buy some doves to be forgiven, to talk to God. They were the mediator. They were the crystal ball people that were talking directly to God for the people, the common person. So all the way through history, we see this hasn't been broken. Although Christ came, then he said, you don't have to do that no more. There's one command, love. You could go straight to the Father. And I'm not a mediator, but it's just mentioned to him in my name. So through Jesus, we can talk to Jehovah, to Yahweh, to God, through Jesus directly. We don't have to go through the temple. We don't have to go through the church. We don't have to go through the governing body. This is all a big facade. Right at the beginning, Jesus died and he said, that's all done away with. We no longer have to do that stuff. So now we see that the governing body, they're the same as any other church that claims you have to come through me to get saved. So we're going to go forward with this. Unfulfilled Watchtower Society predictions. The Watchtower Bible and Tract Society publications have made a series of predictions about Christ's second coming and the advent of God's kingdom, each of which has gone unfulfilled. Almost all predictions for 1878, 1881. You see, Russell was making predictions back in 1878, 1881, then 1914. That's the famous one that everyone knows, that this generation will by no means pass after 1914, which is long gone. And then they talk about 1918 when Russell or Rutherford got out of prison, and then 1925 were other dates. And then we come into 1975, other dates. So, and this whole predicting end times is not new. Lists of dates predicted for apocalyptic events. We go down. this actually started right after Christ, 30, 40 years later, 66 to 70 CE. There was a Jewish Essence sect, and it was these guys were saw the Jewish uprising against the Romans, and in Judea the final end time battle, which would bring about the arrival of the Messiah. So they thought Christ was coming back that quick. And they even went to the point, by the authority of Simon, coins were minted declaring the redemption of Israel. So that didn't happen, and they were predicting it right there. So it started that early, and I read through this, and I encourage everyone. It's just Wikipedia, and read through it. But at the turn of every century, there was a lot of end time predictions all the way through history. And I'm scrolling right down to the 1800s, 19th century, and we come down, and you might see some of the names you recognize. But here we go, 1914, Charles Taze Russell, and then we carry down. 1918, International Bible Students, they published literature about end times, 1918. 1920, International Bible Students, lots of end time predictions in this 1900s by the Jehovah's Witness and the Bible students. And then we come down, 1941, Jehovah's Witnesses again, end time predictions. And remember, this is Wikipedia, and if it's not true, Jehovah's Witnesses can go in and edit it, and they haven't edited this. So it's obviously true. They can't edit it if it's true. We go down, and 1975, Jehovah's Witnesses light up again. End times, how many is that? That's like 5 end time predictions during that 100 years. Wow. And we go down. There's a lot of end time predictions. Look at them all. You might recognize some of them. We don't have time. I could spend a whole day going through all these end time peoples. But everyone's predicting end times. Now, I thought they were going to hit in the 2000s, but they didn't. But Jehovah's Witnesses hit a lot of end time predictions. And this goes all the way down to today, these predictions, if you want to look at it. So it's going all the way down to today, some of these end time predictions. So there you have it. Jehovah's Witnesses aren't the only ones, but they are the only ones out there that I know of that says we are the only ones with the truth. And this whole truth thing, where they take it a next step, and the governing body claims to be Christ. You no longer see, as a Jehovah's Witness, the 8.5 million Jehovah's Witnesses, they cannot go directly to Jehovah like the governing body. The governing body gets new light from Jehovah, not from Jesus. They get new light from Jehovah. They've already done, Jesus has already given them everything. That's what they're claiming, that they're the faithful and discreet slave class. They're the faithful steward. Jesus gave them everything. So now they can go to Jehovah. They're the medium. They're the fortune teller. So the 8.5 million Jehovah's Witnesses, they're paying, their money is going, and their support and their mind is going to the medium. The medium is the governing body. The governing body decides on earth if you're going to get disfellowshipped, if you're going to be an apostate. They make the decision. No longer can Jesus make that decision, or no longer does Jehovah make that decision. The governing body is the medium. They became a medium for the 8.5 million people to Jehovah. It's so clear. It is so clear once you see it. Once you see that. So I hope you do see that, friends. I want to give you some more proof. Some scriptural proof. Right here, no man knows the day. So you can look all the way through the Bible. You just plug that in, Mark 13 and 32. But concerning that day and hour, no one knows, not even the angels in the heaven, nor the Son, but only the Father. So not even Jesus knows. But you see, the Father knows, and according to the governing body, the Father, Jehovah, gave information right down to Russell. and then Rutherford. And all these predictions came about. These men are the prophets for the Jehovah's Witness organizations. And today, the governing body, the GB8, are acting as the medium for the 8.5 million. So today, they are the false prophet. They are the medium, the fortune teller. And they're foretelling that it's going to happen right now. That's what they're foretelling, that the end of the end is right now. Stephen Lett has made that very clear. And there's a large percentage of people on earth that believe that the end's going to happen in their lifetime. It's not only Jehovah's Witnesses, but there's a large percentage that believe that, and they throw out that energy. But yet here in the Bible, it says, but concerning that day, no one knows the hour. Jesus even went on to say it'll be like a thief in the night when you don't expect it. So why all the guessing? Why? It's big bucks, big money. End times predictions gives you, as the medium, control. You have control over all these people, so it's number one, control, and you make money off it. And it's a gig. These guys, does Jehovah talk to them directly? Do they hear voices in the room? No, there's nothing like that. They have ideas. And if you follow some of my other videos, you'll see that Rutherford came out of prison and he was harshly treated. He felt he lost a lung, and it was all Catholic judges. And he came out and he was very bitter against the governments and the Catholics. So he made them the wild beast. He wrote a fictional story, and everyone believed it as truth. And it's all fiction. Everything's fiction. Any of these religions that are proclaiming false dates, they become false prophets. Now, the Jehovah's Witnesses go on to proclaim, well, the paradise is coming. You see, so they're foretelling good events too. The paradise is coming, but only for you, 8.5 million. The rest of the world, too bad, too bad. You see, they're going to the point of segregating the world and saying which people in the world are going to make it, the governing body. And look at all the pictures. They're programming everyone with all the pictures. And along this slide, you'll see all the pictures, all the programming that the governing body uses, both ways. So there's one, no man knows the hour or the day. So as I was reading through the Bible, it seems to me Deuteronomy 18, the whole chapter talks about how to determine if a prophet within your midst is true. Well, here it is, friends, verse 22. When a prophet speaks in the name of the Lord, if the word does not come to pass or come true, that is a word that the Lord has not spoken. The prophet has spoken it presumptuously. The prophet has spoken it presumptuously. So, friends, when the Watchtower has been proclaiming end time dates since the late 1800s with Russell, and it's went all the way through to 1975. In fact, when I was in the organization for 30 years, I was confident it was going to happen before the year 2000. It was going to happen in the generation of 1914. And everyone was doing the math, and the Bible says the average person lives 70 to 80 years. So they just take 80 and they add it into 1914, and now they got the magic number. And everyone thought about the year 2000. And that's the, you see, this is the false mind control. This is the mind control that these fortune tellers, the governing body, they're the fortune tellers all the way through history. They've been guiding all of these people. And now there's 8.5 million people. And these charlatans now are stealing from the people. They're getting their estates. They're even going after their air miles. They're getting that petty for money. And we don't see other religions doing this. This is really blatant. So verse 22, it says, when a prophet speaks in the name of the Lord, if the word does not come to pass or come true, that is a word that the Lord has not spoken. So now we know that these guys are not connected to Jehovah. They're not connected to Jehovah. So who is the governing body connected to if they're not connected to Jehovah? There's only one other spirit out there that I know of, and we don't even need to mention his name. but it really leads to question where they're getting their information from and how they're being charlatans over these 8.5 million people. But here's what it says at the very end, friends. It says, you need not be afraid of him. So we need not be afraid of the governing body that is acting in behalf of these 8.5 million people, because they're just blind guides leading people blindly. And we know where that goes. So that's about it, friends. It's once we start looking at the governing body as charlatans, as fortune tellers, it sure puts a different light on it, and it certainly has for me. So we're going to have other videos coming out on this. It's such a serious subject in my eyes that I think it's important that we share this and let other people know. So if share this video. This is like a public service. We have to let other people know, Jehovah's Witnesses know, how clear this is, how simple this is, that the governing body, they are fortune tellers, foretelling events that they have no right to talk about. The Bible's very clear. Jesus says, no man knows the hour of the day. Why are we even talking about it? Jesus says just to keep loving. That was his only command. He says, love God and love your neighbor. So on those notes, friends, keep living your life with love. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.